Welcome to Fun and Fundraising, everybody, the podcast where we talk with people behind top nonprofit galas and signature fundraising events to showcase how they positively transform their communities. I'm your host, Rob Giardinelli, and today we have a really special guest on. And it's one that I never would have thought to have had until I was pitched it by Cynthia Smoot, the publicist for the organization. And that is Karissa Condoianis. And she is the Senior Vice President of Public Relations for the State Fair of Texas. And what you may not know is that the State Fair of Texas is a nonprofit in many ways and has a fundraising arm as well. So it's not something that most people expect or think about when they first think of this, this State of Texas Fair, which is really, it's an iconic thing that many people, and I don't even want to say it because I'll get the wrong amount of zeros, but lots of people go and visit every year. So I thought this would be a really fun segment to do to learn a little bit more about the State Fair of Texas and how it does give back philanthropically. So with that, Karissa, welcome. And I'm really thrilled to be here talking with you today.
Howdy, Rob. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share more about the nonprofit side of the State Fair of Texas.
I am thrilled. I'm thrilled to hear more about it. So talk about what the mission of the State Fair of Texas is.
The mission of the State Fair of Texas is to celebrate all things Texan by promoting agriculture, education, and community involvement through quality entertainment in a family-friendly environment. Now, I know that's a mouthful and a very long sentence, but the key takeaways there are agriculture, education, community, and that we like to do it by throwing a really big Texas-sized party.
And everything is bigger in Texas, including the Texas State Fair and including all the amazing activations that go on during the Texas State Fair. So,
That's right, we try.
and you all succeed. I mean, it is amazing for that whole entire month every year in the fall. I see so many images of so many people I know from so many different corners of the state who all converge on it. And that's, I think, what makes it so unique and so special.
That's right. And what a lot of people don't realize is the State Fair of Texas, those 24 days, that is our largest community program as a nonprofit, as well as our largest fundraiser of the year. And so when people come out and have fun and maybe purchase a Fletcher's Corny Dog or take a ride on the Texas Star Ferris wheel, the proceeds from that help to go to support our nonprofit mission and allowing us to give back to the community year round.
That's amazing. And so eat, drink, and play games very generously while you're there. That's the undercurrent of that because it's all going to a great cause. And I'm always fascinated. I'm especially interested to ask this question of you about how people initially get involved into an organization. So talk about your path of how you got involved with the State Fair of Texas.
Oh my goodness. I feel like everything I had before in my life and career led me here. And from my nonprofit work that I've done as a volunteer to my career in TV to then transitioning over to kind of the corporate finance world. Then I worked in direct sales and beauty for a bit before the State Fair president found me. And the rest is history. I've been here 11 years now, and couldn't imagine being anywhere else. I feel fortunate that this is what I get to do for a living. And we have so many incredible staff members and volunteers that help us be able to achieve all that we do each year.
You wore a lot of hats before you got to the State Fair. And Karissa believe it or not, this is a Texas-based podcast, and that she is the first guest in 120 or 30 something episodes to be wearing one. I know we're audio only, but I need to give a shout out for that. So while we're on the subject of wearing many hats, how did wearing those other hats help you prepare you for this role?
I mean, essentially, it's the work ethic. Well, that was instilled in me as a child. But then also through the beginning stages of my career, working in broadcast can be challenging. And I was on the behind the scenes side and loved the production side. And at the time, we didn't get paid very much. So I was still living at home and I didn't want to do that anymore. So I made that jump over to kind of the corporate world and just really cut my teeth there and working in finance for 7 years and growing and developing. And I'm a lifelong learner, so I love to always be learning and evolving. And what I learned there really helps to give me the basis for the business side of the business and ensuring that we are where we're fundraising, where we're spending in the community, and the way we're talking about it is essential. And then with my direct sales experience and working with so many incredible salespeople, and working with the beauty industry, learning to talk to all different people across the United States and getting them engaged with the brand. And then here, getting to marry those along with, being a volunteer in the Junior League of Dallas and serving in leadership positions there for many years, serving on the Women Helping Others Foundation board and with the Family Place and their Helping Hands board. It really just helped to pull all of it together. And that's where the heart of who I am comes into play and pulls into now through my work at the state fair.
Well, that's a perfect segue into kind of the thing that I wanted to ask you next, and that is talk about how giving back is a core component of the State Fair of Texas and everything that you all do.
I mean, it is the core component, by the biggest community event that we host and one of the largest annual events in the world. We are giving back to our community and creating a safe space for people to come and celebrate together and celebrate all things Texan. We are named and now have the trademark to the most Texan place on earth. And it is where people can come together, whether they are Texan, born and bred, whether they came here, whether they're visiting here. They can come and enjoy the fair and see the great parts of why we are all so proud to be from the Lone Star State. And it's just a place where we showcase all of those incredible things to bring people together. So we're giving back through the event itself. And there's so many things that are included with your admission when you come out to the state fair. And then, of course, knowing that through that fundraising, through that, our biggest event, but then also smaller events throughout the year, that we were able to raise incredible dollars to give away through college scholarships. We have a farm called Big Tex Urban Farms where we grow produce and we donate it all into South Dallas to help feed families in need. We have our youth livestock auction where we're supporting kids in 4-H and FFA and FCCLA in order to help them reach higher education. And so many other initiatives that we're doing here to really pour back into the community that helps support us for 24 days each fall.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff that you just mentioned, and that's just in Dallas. And I know you all have programs, well beyond the borders of South Dallas and beyond. But, I know that, when I was reading up on you all a little bit, I know that you've got three pillars on how the State Fair of Texas, serves the community. There's building capacity, there's economic development, and then third, kind of what we've already kind of talked about, community support. So share with us a little bit about those three pillars and how you go about really penetrating throughout various corners of the state on those three pillars.
Yeah, I mean, building capacity, if we start there in terms of how we're giving back through our community affairs initiatives, that is through either our grants program or sponsorship program, where we pay money into other nonprofits serving the South Dallas Fair Park area to help bolster their efforts. Last year, we gave more than $500,000 to other nonprofits through grants that are serving this area to just help them achieve more and help them not have to stress over fundraising as much. In addition, we have so many events where we bring these community organizations together to help, facilitate working together and collaboration, because there's so many organizations that are doing similar work. And if they can band together, they can make an even greater impact. And so we do events like what we call Big Tech's Community Engagement Day, where we bring nonprofit leaders that support the South Dallas Fair Park area together. We might bring in speakers, people who are specializing grants, and really we try to focus the programming around how we can support them to just help strengthen their efforts and give back more to the community. So we have events like that. When you think of our economic development side, we have programs like the Big Tech's Business Masterclass. This is a program that started out of, we're always looking for new vendors to come into the State Fair of Texas. And food and beverage is an area where we have a long waiting list of people because we are known for our food out here at the State Fair of Texas. And so we started the Big Tech's Business Masterclass as a way to ensure that we're creating a diverse mix of businesses that are coming in to our food and beverage business and helping support small businesses that want to get into the fair industry by putting them through a multi multi-month cohort program where they get to learn from experts, whether it's just in banking or whether it's in how to run your small business, or it's bringing in people from the industry to talk about what you need to know and how you run a business for a fair and a festival or an exposition. That's something that is, there's more than 3,000 across the United States of events that they could get involved with. So it's not only a focus about how they could potentially become a vendor at the State Fair of Texas. It could be helping their catering business, or it can be helping them get into the Cottonwood Arts Festival up in Richardson, or another event or attraction that they want to be a part of. And we've had many graduates of that program now, and I'm excited that we have several people that have graduated from the program that are now vendors out here at the State Fair of Texas. So that's helping, again, create an economic engine and helping these small businesses with a new business opportunity and growing and exposing them to more opportunities in this space.
Well, what I love about that answer is that, it showcases just the breadth of what you all do. So there's the for-profit space, which you really just you explain very, very thoughtfully kind of what you look for and, kind of the process of how you give businesses the tools to be successful, especially if they want to join the state fair ecosystem. And I'd love for you to answer and go into a little bit about that on the nonprofit side and what traits and qualities, because, lots of people, apply for grants, and there's literally people whose jobs are literally just to apply for them. So talk about the traits and qualities the State Fair of Texas looks for in other nonprofits when you're deciding and selecting with whom you partner.
Yeah, we have last year, I think we awarded more than 100 organizations through our grant program. And, with that, we're reviewing more than 150 applications to get there. When we're reviewing applications, we guide our staff to look at those pillars that we just discussed, whether it be building capacity and what are they doing in this space? Is that what they're looking for, is to help them be able to help more people? Is it the economic development side that they're looking to how they can grow their small business? Or is it the community support and just how they are pouring in to help uplift their community and ensuring that they align with those and what we're looking at supporting and what matches the State Fair's mission? Of course, with our mission being agriculture and education as well, we see a heavy emphasis on when our reviewers, the education piece is significant with those who come in to apply. And so reviewing all those things, ensuring that it aligns with our values as an organization, that they are a reputable organization. It doesn't mean that they have to have been around for a long time, but of course, we're looking at all those key things that any grant reviewer would in determining that it is a legitimate nonprofit and looking at their budget, looking at their spending, and ensuring that they are, eligible to receive funding from the fair.
Thank you for, describing that and kind of, the details in the process. And every organization, when you are applying for grants, every organization has different criteria, and it's really important that you understand those wherever you're applying. And Karissa did a really good job explaining what the State Fair of Texas is looking for. And, I'd love to go a step further with that. So, if someone does, get a grant, talk a little bit about how you work with them. Some of them I know are probably just the grant. Others, there may be more formalized partnerships. So elaborate on a little bit of those and maybe even share, one that may, particularly speak to you or something you're currently working on an active partnership with.
Yeah, there's a lot of organizations where we're helping fund them through a grant. We also, they're invited and engaged in our community programming, whether it be the Big Tex Community Engagement Day that I mentioned. During the fair, we also have a pastor's luncheon where we invite faith leaders in to the fair and a chance for them to collaborate and communicate with each other and network. And then we have other things where we're going into their community and helping support. And so the one that comes to mind, just top of mind right now, is we have provided funding to T.R. Hoover Community Center, which is a community center in our area. And last weekend, so they received grant funding. Then last weekend, they hosted an event at their facility called Race to Kindness. And it's the Race to Kindness Book Fair. It is put on by Orion Jean. He was Times Kid of the Year a couple years ago.
Wow.
We have been supporting this event from the very beginning. And this event is hosted at that center. And so it's just one more way that we are connecting to ensure that we are helping to uplift the community and bring kids together to get books. They got books for free to help encourage reading, encourage learning, and some of them give themselves maybe their own first book that is theirs, that they get to take home. Because we are in a community here in the South Dallas Fair Park area that has a lot of need. And, it's ensuring that we are introducing the children in this area to the opportunities of what their future could be, but also just giving them simple things like fruits and vegetables from the farm or a book through the Race to Kindness book fair, and making sure that they're introduced to the things that other kids are too.
I absolutely love that answer. And for the main, number one of which, and there's many reasons, but number one of which is you're never too young to apply for a grant. And the fact that you've got, one of Texas's previous children of the year, who's probably not even 18 years old yet, as someone you're actively partnering with, if you've got a great idea and something that can benefit a community, it starts early, and people who are really, really strong leaders, it starts early. And the fact that you're nurturing that, I just think is so cool.
Yeah, it's very rewarding and it's exciting also. We've been doing it for so many years now to see Orion grow and just it's really fantastic.
That's awesome. And you talked about how you all do several different types of fundraising events throughout the year. And I know that, you've got the State Fair Saddle Up and the Big Tex Champion Club and the Golf Classic. So share with us a little bit more about some of these events and kind of, what each of them brings and how it can kind of bring different types of donors and different types of people to each of them.
Yeah, we have a diverse array, as you mentioned, of smaller fundraising events that lead up to the State Fair of Texas every year. So, for the first one that we have in the year is our Big Tex Clay Shoot Classic. This is a clay shoot out at the Dallas Gun Club where sporting shooters can come out, have teams, and we have sponsors out there as well, to just have a day of fun while raising money for kids. So we actually had our event a couple weeks ago for this year. It was on April 25th, and we raised a record $325,000 to go towards our Big Tex Youth Livestock Auction and Scholarship Program. Now, these events of this scale are not possible without A, our team, and B, our volunteers. We have an incredible group of engaged volunteers who are very passionate about the mission of the fair and all that we have done over the past nearly 140 years. And so they create committees, and our staff works directly with the committees. They have co-chairs of those, and that's to help plan and execute the event and help lead all of the fundraising efforts for that. So that's just one of the events that we do that was highly successful this year. And then as we roll into summertime here in a couple weeks, we have the Big Tex Golf Classic. Now, this is a golf tournament. So again, very different from a clay shoot. So again, diversifying and ensuring that you're creating opportunities for a diverse audience to be able to come in to support your organization. So we have the golf tournament. It'll be hosted here not far from us in East Dallas at the Tennyson golf courses. And we typically sell out both courses every single year for the Big Tex Golf Classic. It raised more than $210,000 last year. And we have a higher goal for this year that we are on pace to meet. And again, we can't do this without our volunteers. We have another committee that is dedicated to helping put on and plan this event and help raise funds for the Big Tex Youth Livestock Auction and Scholarship Programs. And all of that, we as a nonprofit, which is actually something that is unique in this space, 100% of what you donate to the State Fair of Texas goes to kids. We do not keep anything out of it. The State Fair, by us being a successful 24-day event and being able to do all the work that we do, the State Fair funds all of the operations of these events so that any money raised through a donor, 100% of that goes straight into our programs.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And those are two very different organizations, and it's great that 100% of what is donated goes to them. And you mentioned a couple more of them once in that answer about volunteers. So what advice would you give to an organization looking to find passionate volunteers who are, who can walk the walk in addition to talking the talk and really creating something that allows for a strong foundation for a nonprofit event?
I would say, some advice, I'm no expert. Let's start with that. But in what I've done through being a volunteer and through my work through the State Fair, it's about starting local. starting close and finding people that are engaged with the fair. We have a great group of season pass holders for the State Fair of Texas. So if you have anything like that with your program, where you have an email list, an email database where you're communicating with people, tap into that because they're obviously interested in the fair. In addition to anybody who's buying tickets to the fair, that's an opportunity. We are fortunate in that over the years, the program has grown very organically, that now we're at a place where we have, several hundred volunteers engaged on an annual basis, where we're having to take a deeper look and ensure that we are building this sustainability to ensure that we can carry this on, create a great equitable experience for our volunteers, ensuring that they have benefits, that want them to keep coming back and serving as volunteers, that they feel recognized, they feel appreciated, and ensuring that the job is clear on what we need them to do. They feel well equipped and trained for it. But really, once you get them engaged, it's about keeping them engaged and about how you treat them at the end of the day, because they are giving their time, and that is incredibly valuable. And actually, there are dollar amounts put on a volunteer's time. So being aware of that and ensuring that you're speaking to that, and whereas not everyone can donate money. Not everyone is good at going out and raise money. You need both types of volunteers. Those who show up, are there on time, and they are passionate while they're there. And then those that are out there helping spread awareness and be a great ambassador for your organization, while also helping raise money to help support your nonprofit mission.
Those were so many great answers. And from start to finish, what I really loved at the beginning of your answer was you talked about just tapping into your email database and asking, because you'd be amazed at how often people just don't do something simply because they're not asked. And
Right.
that's all that it requires is asking, and it can be done as something as simple as an effective email correspondence. And that's really great. And the other piece that I really am glad you talked upon and touched upon was being grateful and thanking your volunteers, and also putting a worth to their time, because I've seen plenty of nonprofits take those volunteers and take those resources for granted. And everything you said in your answer, you don't for 1 millisecond even think about taking them for granted. You understand their value, you understand their worth, and you understand that value and worth is more than just cutting a check. It's the people behind it that make an event great.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's from I was taught at a very young age to give back, that to be somebody that pours back into the community to help people that aren't as fortunate as I am. And that was just instilled in me as a child. And so I started at a very young age volunteering. And so seeing that on the volunteer side, I think gives me great perspective on this side now that volunteers that I'm working with them through my organization, and it helps me know what I need to do. And sometimes I feel like you need to serve as well to help really understand what the role of a volunteer is and know how you should treat a volunteer. In addition, some of the best recruiting is going to be the friends or family of your volunteers. And so if they're having a great time engaging and volunteering with your organization or event, then they're going to want their friends and family to come along with them, which then grows your volunteer base, gives you more support, even potential donor support as well.
I love that answer, because you realize that every person has their own network beyond themselves that they can actually bring in. And when you create a good experience, it's just like with any fundraising event. When you create a good experience, they will tell their friends and more people come in. And that's what I love about that, is that it extends not just to the event, but it extends to the people behind the event as well.
Yeah,
Fantastic answer.
today's a perfect example. We just hosted our Big Tech Scholarship Awards Fair out on the State Fair Midway. We awarded more than $1.3 million in new college scholarships to students throughout the state of Texas. Our volunteers showed up this morning, and somebody brought a friend. And that friend happened to be the mother of a very high profile reporter here in town that Cynthia and I both know. But you just never know who's going to show up. You never know how they're going to bring people along. And while that's not the purpose, it's just great when you see it happen organically, and it solidifies that you're doing something right at the end of the day, too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the beauty about, any event, is you never know who's going to show up. And that includes, you have a full guest list, there's still going to be someone that surprises you. And I think we can all definitely relate to that. And speaking of guests and speaking of high profile people, so you all at the Texas State Fair, it wouldn't be a Texas event if it didn't have music.
That's right.
And there is really, it's a Texas-sized music festival. That's really the only way to kind of describe it. So, you are, it's interesting. Talk a little bit about how you bring in musicians and what advice you would give to someone looking to obtain a musical headliner for their signature event so that they say yes to it.
Yeah, I mean, showing them the exposure that it can bring to them and their brand, I think is key at the beginning. And if you have, whether you're a new event or whether you're an event that's been going on for a long time, that's very important because they want to get that exposure for them and their brand. And so that's number one. Number two, talk to them about your mission and help them understand how them being there and being a part of this event gives back. Gives back to their community or the greater community at large. We are fortunate that we are able to work with an agency to help us secure all of our talent out here for the State Fair of Texas, and look at a wide range of talent because at the fair, our goal is to have something for everyone. We want people from all walks of life to feel like they can come to the State Fair of Texas and feel at home. So we need to make sure that we have a diverse mix of entertainment and attractions. And so that would be my recommendation is know your community. Know who you are wanting to bring, who your audience is, and tailor your entertainment and attractions to them, to the people that you want to bring in. Because for us, we want to bring in all Texans. I mean, people come from around the world to come to the State Fair of Texas. And so we find it and take it as our responsibility of a way to showcase all the cultures that are here in the Lone Star State, but also ensure that we're supporting everyone who is here with different ways to come enjoy the fair. And the thing is, most of our attractions, we're very fortunate, we are able to offer included with your admission. So when you come out, it's a very affordable experience for a family or for a group of friends to be able to come and enjoy the fair and customize their own experience. Because if you talk to different attendees who've been coming to the State Fair of Texas their entire life, you will not get the same answer from anyone on what their day looks like at the State Fair of Texas.
And that goes as a testament, I think, to the range of different types of activities you have for people of all ages. And I'm glad that, that with the music you bring something for everybody. Because again, music is one of those things. It amazes me how many friendships start over a mutual love of an artist. And when you see two people and you're like, you two really like that artist, and you're like, I would never on a million years on a piece of paper do that. There's just something really fun about that. And we always like to say on this program, so we don't necessarily talk about the performers per se, only because life happens with them, dates change, and all that other stuff. But what are some things that maybe you can tease about some of the musical performers you have coming up for this year's State Fair of Texas?
Well, my team might hurt me if I say too much. We have not announced any of our attractions or entertainment for this year yet. But I can tell you that in terms of the selection, it's very diverse in terms of up and coming artists as well as mainstay artists who very recognizable names that are being secured. And mostly for one of our fundraising events, we just announced the Saddle Up, State Fair Saddle Up that you mentioned earlier, that's right before the fair and a big kickoff event. We have secured Cash Buyers as our opener, who's a Texas artist. And we're excited that our headliner for that night is going to be Little Texas. So if you know country music and were around in the 80s and the 90s, you know Little Texas. And so that's really one of the things we look for as well is celebrating Texas artists. And so not only on our Chevrolet main stage, we have other stages throughout the grounds. One on either side of the Cotton Bowl Stadium, which sits in the heart of Fair Park. We have different stages, and a lot of those can be up and coming artists throughout the Lone Star State that are really here to perform and expose their brand and who they are and their music to our more than 2 million fairgoers during the run.
I'm glad you brought up the bit about up and coming, musicians, because I know so many people that go to so many different things around Texas. They're like, oh my God, I know this person's going to be huge in 2 years. And they absorb that person. And I'm sure that there's probably been over the years so many of those artists who have come through the state of Texas, State Fair of Texas gates, where it's, you got them a second year and you're like, I don't know how I did that, but we're gonna go with it because their agent probably wouldn't have booked that deal, but then next year they'll headline. Like it's really cool to see, how all that works and how cool that you've got Little Texas where Big Tex resides. I mean, you got it all right there.
That's right. Well, and I mean, we've had, to your point, we had Garth Brooks back in, I think it was 1990, right as he hit it big. And so we have like a picture of he was booked before he'd hit it big. And so one of the busiest, most crowded main stage acts we've ever had. Because again, it's included with your admission. So you just get to come and you can hear it as you walk through the fairgrounds. We've had the Jonas Brothers, right as they were hitting it big, they were here too. Elvis Presley was here years ago. And I mean, it's just the Dixie Chicks. The Chicks have been here. We've had Casey Musgraves. We've had, I mean, the list just goes on and on of the artists who have come through the State Fair of Texas, and they're very household names now, very recognizable.
That's amazing. And it just goes to show that the talent that, the entire State Fair of Texas organization has in cultivating and curating that musical talent and understanding and spotting it. And, I'd love for you to share, some things that people can expect to experience at this year's State Fair of Texas, and maybe a couple of things that you're like, I would never expect the State Fair of Texas to have that.
Oh gosh, that's tough. I mean, one of my favorite things that we brought back a few years ago is the rodeo. So we now have rodeos back to being a part of the state fair. And it's just being in that Coliseum that was originally had rodeo in it. It's really rewarding, and everyone is really into it that's out here at the state fair. And you again, you sit there and you see people from all walks of life in the audience enjoying a rodeo, and not everybody always has access to that on a daily basis. So that's something that's really exciting. Like I said, the food. We are about our Big Tex Choice Awards fair food competition. All of our concessionaires, they have a chance to enter the competition with new food items. And it's something that was started in 2005 that helped to, kind of keep our concessionaires on their toes, bringing new foods and coming up with new items, keeping food fresh as a great way to continue drawing people to the state fair. And now more than 20 years later, I mean, it's an international phenomenon. When we announce our finalists in the Big Tex Choice Awards, it's something that everyone is chomping at the bit to get the scoop on. And so we have to keep it very under lock and key. So I can't talk about anything
Of
yet,
course.
but I have heard that in our concessions department that oversees that with my team, that they think it could potentially be the best year yet. So be prepared for that. That's a really bold statement to make because we have had some really incredible years with this competition. So we're always fascinated at what our vendors are able to come up with to introduce fairgoers to.
That's amazing. And make sure you've got at least one extra notch in that belt buckle whenever you do go to the State Fair in Texas, because you will eat a good amount of food and probably gain an inch or two on your waist while you're there. In a good way, you can always burn it off the next day at the gym. But
277 acres is what Fair Park is. So just bring your walking shoes. I can tell you, I'm out here all 24 days. I definitely eat fair food and I lose weight during the fairs.
good for you. Good for
It's
you.
definitely it's a possibility. It's a possibility. Also, they're all shareable items.
That's important too. So, you don't each have to buy one thing for yourselves. You can share. And then
Yeah,
you can share a couple hours later and a couple hours later, and then you're kind of steady,
that's
steady
right.
dieting the deliciousness of the fair.
Aside from a Fletcher's corny dog, nobody wants to share their Fletcher's corny dog.
Fair
That's
enough.
an icon that has been at the fair since 1942 and is something that you just want to yourself. Trust me.
I will take your word for it. And
So,
I know
Rob,
what
I have to know, are you team mustard or team ketchup on your
I'm team
corny dog?
ketchup.
Whoa,
Team ketchup.
whoa, them's fighting words here.
Yes, team ketchup.
Yeah.
Mustard. I'm from Philadelphia, so I like mustard on my soft pretzels.
Ooh, I bet
That's
that's
my
good.
thing with that, and it's amazing. All different types, yellow, spicy, all of it's amazing.
Oh yeah, I'm a mustard gal, especially on my Fletchers.
I can totally understand why. Uh, all right, and I know we're coming up on time here, but I always like to end with this question. I know you'll have a particularly interesting answer probably, and that is, what is one thing all successful events have in common?
A great team, a great team. Anything that we do, any success we have here is because of our team, whether it's our team of paid people or whether it's our volunteers. We could not do anything we do without them. And having a loyal community that is there to support you through thick and thin. And I think that became really clear in 2020 when we had to cancel the State Fair of Texas for the first time since World War II because of the pandemic. And our team came together, did jobs that they never imagined they would have to do to put on and pull off a drive-through state fair because we wanted to keep our team activated. We fought hard to not have to have any layoffs, and we all came together and worked all different things around the grounds to allow people to get a taste of the fair in their car. So they would drive through the fairgrounds safely, and our team in masks would be handing food items to them through their windows, and then they would get to pull up in front of Big Tex, and they get to safely get out at a safe social distance. And we had professional photographers up at Big Tex Circle where they got to get their photo with Big Tex to ensure that there wasn't a year in our history that Big Tex was not available to take a family photo, because that is a huge tradition out here at the State Fair of Texas. And then they got to keep going through, get some fried Oreos on the way and Fletcher's corny dogs and some sodas. And then they got to play a midway game from their car. Our midway team built an entire game that could be played from your car, and where different prizes were behind different doors so that the kids could still get a prize from the midway. And I think that just is an example of what it takes to be a great event or a great nonprofit organization, is the culture and the values that you instill in your team help you to be able to achieve new heights and things that you never thought were possible. And through that, while that event that we did wasn't about making money and we knew that wasn't going to be what it was going to do. It was to help keep the state fair spirit alive in our community in a year when we weren't able to host them at the fair. So it was like a gift that we were trying to give back to our community through our staff and volunteers.
That was probably one of the coolest answers I've ever heard anybody give on this show. That was so, I mean, really, teamwork makes the dream work. I know that may sound corny, but that's
I say it to my team all the time. I know it's corny, but hey, it's true. It's true.
corny, corn dogs, all of it. But I mean, and it also shows why the State Fair of Texas is such an iconic event, that you found a way to make it work for your guests, even under the most trying, we'll use that for lack of a better word, of circumstances. And it showcases why you all are such a world-respected, world-class event on every level.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I cannot thank you enough, Karissa, for being on here today and sharing your insights. And I learned a lot more about, how the State Fair of Texas gives, but also what it takes to put on a series of really great events over a really sustained period of time. So thank you again.
Thank you. Like I said, last year alone, the fair gave $19.5 million through our philanthropic and fair park giving efforts. So none of that is possible without the support of everyone. And, if anything, I hope anything I said today can help someone who's listening to help grow and reach new heights with their event or organization, to help them pour back into their community.
And it absolutely did. And again, I cannot thank you enough, Karissa, for being here today.
Thank you, Rob.
And the State Fair of Texas will be held from September 26th through October 19th, 2025 at Fair Park in Dallas, Texas. For more information, please visit bigtex.com. And that will do it for this episode of Fun and Fundraising. I'm your host, Rob Giardinelli, reminding you to keep it fun, keep it interesting, and your guests will have a great time. Have a great day, everyone, and take care.